So we started the show today by talking about vacation, citing a Leger poll, some of what we're seeing here in terms of what Canadians are planning to do or where they're planning to go. And what we find out is overall, 55% of Canadians say they do plan to take a leisure trip this summer, which is actually up rather significantly from only a year ago. And the other thing we find out, and again, not coming as a big surprise, only 10% of those surveyed here say they plan to travel to the U.S. this summer. That's down sharply from last summer when that number was closer to 25%. And the other thing we're finding out, again, perhaps not a giant surprise, Canadians are increasingly choosing to explore their own backyard this summer. Thought we'd find out a little bit more, maybe give you some tips on where that might be. Nathalie Preddie is a travel journalist and author, and she is on the line. Hi, Nathalie.
Hi, Aaron. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for taking the time. So let's try to cover a little bit of ground here. For starters, I talked about, we took some calls from people who've, traveled to other parts of our province. A lot of people, as it turns out, heading to PEI, to the Maritimes. What are you, as far as you're concerned, some of the more underrated spots in this country, not the obvious ones that you might want to consider visiting?
Well, I think a lot of people forget about Alberta and Drumheller, which is up in the Badlands, just north of Calgary. There are some of the most famous dinosaur fossils that have been found in that area, like the Albertosaurus. Mm-hmm. and right now you can go
Wait a second, is there really an Albertosaurus?
Yes, and they found
kidding.
it there. That's where it got its name, because it was found in Alberta. And
That's
if you
cool.
head out to Drumheller now, families can work with paleontologists. They can go out on an escorted dig. And there's the Royal Tyrrell Museum, which is really close by. Kids can learn how to cast fossils and exactly what it means to be a paleontologist.
That's pretty cool. Okay, so that's Drumheller, Alberta. You want to say a little closer to home? Anything in Ontario that we don't know about? Typically we have people going to Prince Edward County. We have people, who might want to consider going to Toronto. Any ideas there?
Absolutely. So about 3 or 4 hours north of Toronto is Tobermory, and it's actually some of the best freshwater diving in the world. Oh. So you've got Fathom 5 National Marine Park, and they have about 20 shipwrecks there. So you can go wreck diving in fresh water. You will need a wetsuit, but, it is globally renowned for being fantastic diving or snorkeling.
Excellent. All right. Now, you mentioned family. If you want to get out there with the kids and see the dinosaur stuff, that's great. Other family-friendly places you could go in Canada?
Absolutely. So, again, if we're looking at Ontario, we've got the Toronto Islands are great. They've got a beach there. You can have picnics. There's a little theme park for kids. And you can get boats out there all year long. Also, if you want to head to PEI, I notice you said that a lot of people are heading out there. You've got Anne of Green Gables. You've got all of the Green Gables historical houses, but also the beaches there are fantastic. And if you time it right, so if you go out when it's low tide, there are lots of little pools. So you've got oh my goodness, I've completely forgot the name, but it's where you get little pools within the sand, which is great for kids, for little toddlers that are playing. So you're not nervous about, them getting in too deep. So low tide is the perfect time to get out in PEI on the beach. And then Saskatchewan, people don't think about that as well, but it is one of the most beautiful dark sky reserves in the country. It is fantastic for camping, for exploring, for hiking, and there's also a fantastic amount of Indigenous experiences for the kids. So there's lots of opportunities for children to learn about the different tribes, what they all mean, what they all do differently, and it's really exciting. It's such a good way to sneak in some education while you're on vacation, which is never a bad thing.
Yeah, where's that last one again?
That was Saskatchewan.
In Saskatchewan.
Yep.
Okay. Now, my producer mentioned that you're doing a piece for National Geographic as well. Are these on Canadian vacation spots?
Yes, they are. So it's all family-friendly activities in Canada, and it goes right from coast to coast. People even want to head up to the Yukon, and they're taking their summers up in the Yukon and going hiking. We've seen so many people from all over the world want to come to Canada. So people, even from Europe, from Western Europe, Eastern Europe, everyone is saying, we don't want to go to the States this year. We don't like what's going on. We're coming to Canada. So we're seeing visitors from all over the world come here. I was covering Stampede earlier in July, and there were tons of people from England and Scotland that were there that had heard about it and were looking to vacation in Canada this year. So we're just seeing Canadians stay here, but also everyone else come to join us.
I think that's a great idea. And I wonder, if it works both ways. Americans coming to Canada, we know that fewer Canadians obviously are going to the U.S. I wonder if we're going to see that, that kind of trickle across the border, or whether that's going to be subdued as well. But we'll have to wait and find out. Hey, if I asked you to pick any place at all, Nathalie, where you could go that you've never been before but are curious or would be curious to go to in Canada, where would it be?
It would probably be northern Manitoba. Again, you've got some beautiful landscapes, some really cool Indigenous experiences, wildlife viewing. It's something entirely different from life here in Toronto that I've never seen before, and I think just quiet, just silence, even the feeling of silence. When it's so quiet, you can even, the air feels still. Something like that would be really intriguing. Okay.
I'm trying to remember what you just said. I was going to say you're going to see some of the wild things in Toronto. It depends, I guess, where you hang out in Toronto. So
and what time of night.
And what time of night, exactly. Nathalie, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Take care. By the way, people can follow you, right? You can go online and check out where they go.
Absolutely. On Instagram, Natty P, Nattyp, or Natty P online.
Cool. All right. Thank you. Nathalie Preddie, travel journalist and author, with some tips for you there as to where you might consider going that I'd never known before. I didn't know we had an Albertosaurus. That's so cool.